else is, and we've got 45 minutes together. Whether it takes that long, that's up to you, right? I'd love for it to take 45 minutes because that means you have great questions for me. Let me introduce myself. My name is Jeremy Cedric. I am head of sales at LabStats. We're based out of Idaho Falls, Idaho, and our entire company is headquartered out of here. And with us today, we've brought Beth Paulson, who is our content manager in our marketing department, and also Tyler Jacobson, who is our Western U.S. sales representative. So Tyler oversees everything basically from the Mississippi west. I oversee everything globally with LabStats. We are an international company. We've got customers in the UK and Australia. We just launched France. We're launching South America because the product is in high demand. So you all came today to learn about how you can improve the student experience with data. Before we get into that, let me tell you a little bit about LabStats and what we do. LabStats is essentially a multi-tool for lab managers, IT directors, CIOs, and everyone in between to be able to get the data that you need to make smart decisions. We provide, essentially what LabStats is it is a tool that is loaded on your machines and just aggregates your data. Pulls it into very quick and easy reports so that you can use those reports for meaningful decisions. So with that, let's get started. So today, as we go through our presentation, we're going to talk about student success first and foremost. Then we'll get into what it means to be a student-centered institution and how do we do that, followed by being a data-enabled institution. Because quite frankly, everything that we're doing, if we don't have the data, nothing else really matters to be able to impact our students. Question. From 2016 through today, how many higher education institutions have either merged, been acquired, or closed? Any guesses? Crickets. 520, 107. He's on this. 176 have either been merged, acquired, or closed. Of those 176, 108 have closed. Next question. Why have they closed? What did you say? Budget? Low enrollment, right? Low enrollment equates to low budgets. Market saturation, right? Because today we've got a lot more competition than we ever have had in the history of higher education, right? Even just 10 years ago, the biggest competitor 10 years ago to brick and mortar higher institutions was University of Phoenix, right? They kind of pioneered the whole online learning. And now look at it. How many online institutions are there today? What's that? Exactly. If you don't have online, what are you going to do? How are you going to attract these students? So the big question is, how do we impact that student success and that student experience with our brick and mortar institutions and keep that enrollment up so that we're not experiencing these closures? I'm going to throw up here a maze. Or I apologize, this went a little in advance. So when we look at these students, okay, high school is designed to prepare students for higher education, correct? Okay? And so we automatically think that these high school students that are now becoming freshmen in college are prepared for college. I see your head shaking. They're not, right? Why? Absolutely. It's teaching to the test, right? And so we often make the mistake of thinking, well, these students are well prepared to be successful in college. When in reality, the colleges and the higher education institutions need to be better prepared for these incoming students. And the big question is, how do we do that? How do we become focused more on what do we need to fix? How do we fix what we need to do? How do we know what we need to fix in order to support that student success? There's a maze up here. Can any of you navigate your way through this maze? I'll save you some time you can't. Right? There's no end, there's no beginning. You'll notice things run right off the edge. That's because this is the middle of a maze. Right? We don't have the full picture. Now what happens when we get the full picture? Can you navigate your way through this maze? Anyone want to see how long it takes you to navigate this one? It's not an easy one, right? So let's think about our students. Our students are thrust into this new world, and they've got to navigate their way through from when they come in as freshmen to when they graduate. But they also have to navigate a whole new lifestyle. They've got to navigate different social structures. They've got to navigate different tools just to even begin school, right? Their registration, their enrollments, where is this? Where's the cafeteria? Where is the computers? Where do I go to do my homework for this? Where do I find my software for this? And so it's no wonder why so many of these students get frustrated and don't do well and eventually drop out. And then what do students do these days if they're not happy with something? They post it online, right? How many of us have posted anything positive recently about an organization? Oregon State's always positive, right? How many of us have posted something negative about an organization? Right? We're much more likely to report our negative experiences than our positive experiences. Why? Because we want to get back at them. And if I can just show them, and I'm going to make sure that they don't ever do business with us again, guess what? I've been vindicated. So as we help them, our jobs are to help these students through these mazes. So the best way to do that is to provide them a guide to be able to follow. So let me share an example of a customer. So this is Derek. He is Director of Campus Resources. Now, one of the things that Derek is dealing with is he's regularly meeting with his computer lab managers and other people on his IT staff, and he solicits feedback. Now, in that feedback, what he gets is our computer labs are always full. There's never a computer available when we need it. And when there is one, it doesn't have the software that we need. So Derek's first response was, I'm going to add additional computers. I'm going to add additional computer labs. And I'm going to spend a whole heck of a lot of money adding additional software. Anyone relate with that? So luckily for Derek, he did do some research and figure, okay, if I'm going to make this kind of investment, I probably need to know what I need to spend my money on. So he contacted LabStats, and he installed LabStats. And one of the things that he was able to do is he was able to pull a report to show average usage in each of his labs. And he found that from this data, the highest used lab was used about 50% of the time. Contrary to what the anecdotal stories were telling him, right? So then he said, wait a minute, there must be something to this, because students aren't just going to complain for the sake of complaining. They might. But generally people, there's a reason why they're saying this. So he ran another report that showed his peak usage history. And guess what? His computer labs were all 100% used 1 hour of every week. So what he did was he made a resource available to his students using our Lab Maps feature. To where now, utilizing the API, he can make this publicly available to students, so now students can see where available computers are, when they're available, in real time. In addition, he also put icons to show what software is available on those machines. So now, he's no longer getting those complaints. The best part of this is he did not add any additional computers to his school. Instead, he did add a little more software because he realized that the software they're requesting was fully used, because those are some other reports that he was able to pull. But the amount of money that he saved was hundreds of thousands of dollars. And he improved their experience. What is this? Does anyone know? It's an accessibility web page, right? This is an actual university's accessibility web page. Now I'm going to ask you a question. If you were looking at this and you had to determine, is this web page student focused or institution focused? What would you say? Why do you say that? Yeah. It's got a thing here that says, if you encounter difficulties accessing anything, contact our website team. Number one, if I'm having trouble accessing information, I'm probably not accessing this site, right? Number two, does it give me anything to be proactive to guide students where to go? What if on this website there was a link to that same map we just showed you, to where the student clicks on it, and not only that, but when you create the map, you take another 10 minutes and you start adding accessibility icons. Where are your screen readers? Where's your learning disability software? Where are quiet places? Where's your scanners at? Okay? It doesn't take much to turn that from an institution-focused site to a student-focused site. Now, as we go through this, okay, you all have student-facing machines, correct? I know there's a lot of institutions that are starting to go BYOD, which creates its own whole other level of complications. You've got that software loaded to those machines. You've got all this stuff that's out there. Now, one thing to keep in mind is your incoming freshmen, when they were in first grade, that's when the iPhone came out. It's interesting to think about, right? They have grown up with iPhones their entire lives. And their entire high school career, they have grown up with Facebook, Snapchat, Instagram. And so because these kids are very good on smart devices, we instantly think that they're really good with technology overall. But are they? Are they really good with the technology they need to get their assignments done? Are they really good with the higher education software that they need? Let's not assume that they are. Okay? And more importantly, let's not assume that they know where to find it. Because if they know where to find it, we're not going to have the complaints. Now, as we look at being a student-centered institution, it requires us to look out for the needs of all students. Now, I want to clarify the definition of all students. All students, there's lots of different students in our schools, right? We've got those students who come from multi-generational families, who have been in college since the 1800s. We've got those students who are first-generation students. Those oftentimes can be some of our most at-risk students because they're not used to it. They don't have the role models and the experience of their families to navigate this system. You've got your super smart students that no matter what, they're going to succeed. You got your average students, and you've got your students with special needs, right? Those that we have to maintain ADA compliance with. So as we look at the all students, those are the ones we got to look. We got to look at everybody. In fact, it's estimated on average 11 to 15% of college applicants have some need of ADA compliance. Are we meeting their needs? It's easy to think of all the students that don't have those needs, but what about those that have those special needs? Those are the ones that we've got to make sure we are ADA compliant. And if you don't think it can happen to you, it will. At one time or another, that there will be legal action come on you. There was recently, I was reading an article of a person in the New England states that is suing 50 colleges and universities in New England. He's blind. He's suing them because of their online access. He can't read the screen, and the screen readers won't work with it. He found a law firm, it's a niche law firm, whose only job is to find these type cases and represent their clients pro bono because they know they're going to get a huge settlement and take a third of it. Now that's in the online world. What about 5 years from now when we start seeing that more and more in our brick and mortar world? Because we haven't provided those accesses out there. These are things we've got to think about as we look toward being a student-centered institution. One of the things that we're able to do is having reports that show us the software usage of these tools that we've got in there. Are these tools being used? Can we go back and show that, yes, we had this amount of software, but it's never been used? Or, yeah, we've had this amount of software, and guess what? We need more. Or we thought we needed this, but we need more of this. We can provide that hard data so that you can make those decisions to protect our schools and to be able to turn us into true student-centered institutions. And of course, having the maps to show where they're at. Because again, it's not just about CYA, but it's about helping students. Helping them in their success, finding the resources. And again, I know I've just talked about, accessibility and ADA and whatnot, but all students, helping to make sure they know where they're going. Now let's talk about being a data-enabled institution. As we look at this man on the screen, can anyone in here tell me how old he is? More than 30, less than 50? Given a broad range there, Scott. What do you think? Any guesses, if you had to guess? 41? 38? 32? All good guesses. Let me give you some data. Now what do you think? He's 29. Up close, yep. You were close, Scott, with your 30 to 50. But as you look at that, when we have data, isn't it much easier to make a much better decision on his age? Now let's think about everything we're dealing with in IT. How many decisions do we make every single day that requires data? Do we have that data to make those decisions? Joe, you said no? Not always? Sometimes we have so much data that we can't make a decision. Right? And so it's really important that not only do we have data, but it's the right data. Bad data drives bad decisions. Anyone in here want to make bad decisions? Let's talk about Scott. Please, can I? Yeah, sometimes we have to make those decisions, right? It's not that we can put these decisions off. These decisions have to be made. But let's talk real quick. Let's define what bad data is. What do you think bad data is? Okay, data that's out of date. Yeah. Incorrect data, right? Could be good data in another context, but in this context, it's not what you're looking for, right? Very good. Any other things that you would consider bad data? What's that? Noise? Yeah, too much data. How many of us pulled up spreadsheets and thought, what am I going to do with this? We all have. Where do we even get started on this? Bad data can equal expensive decisions. Bad data equals guessing or imprecise decisions. So if that's what bad data is, what would you say good data does or is? It addresses the question. Actionable. How about data that allows us to right-size our labs? It allows us to right-size our computer labs, right-size our hardware and software. That's what good data does, right? Good data, it allows us to be proactive in meeting our institutional goals rather than reactive. How many of us have had fires to put out throughout our day? Okay? Because you're being reactive to those things that come in, right? Because somewhere along the line, perhaps a decision was made that wasn't a good decision for our department or our institution. So those are the things that why it's so important to be a data-enabled institution. But not only that, now there's many sources of data that we have, right? Some of us might already have data gathering tools, but those data gathering tools are either so convoluted that we can't make a decision, or we look at that and we think, okay, well, I queried it this way. Can I truly trust that data because of the way I queried it? So we need tools that can make sure that the data that we're looking for is the data we're looking for. It's customizable for your individual institutions. And there's no question that, yes, I can make a decision off of that. Let me share with you. So there is a school in Calgary, Mount Royal University, that is one of our customers. And they have been kind enough to provide us with oh, sorry everybody, for some reason we have no volume now. I promise he does talk.
My name is Michael Barr. I'm the Chief Information Officer for Mount Royal University. We're located in Calgary, Alberta, Canada. We have about 12,000 students, and we have an IT department of about 70 people, looking after about 150 computer labs on the campus. The LabStats helped us solve a particular pain point where we had to do a lot of manual work to understand who was using what software and which PCs. So initially it was very manually intensive, prone to error.
What we used to do was we used to have lab monitors in all of our labs. And so we would pay them to sit there for 8 hours a day and just manually record people coming in and out.
I usually lost at least one team member for a couple of weeks on end, just number crunching and trying to put graphs together and what have you. So that ease of process that of just, pick up a report and pick a lab that you want to get those stats on. It's so much simpler. It's made our life so much easier.
What it helped us do was automate and streamline that whole process so we could get much more accurate information almost immediately.
The perception was that they were being used to their full extent. When we ran the numbers, we realized that there were a number of labs that were not being used properly, and we weren't using them to our maximum capacity.
Specifically, we've been able to eliminate 4 labs with about 25 PCs in each. LabStats report showed that the rooms were not being used as much, and in the case of one room in particular, it helped us reduce our capital outlay by about $25,000, which would occur every 4 years. So that's a significant savings for us, and lets that room go back into the general inventory for scheduling so that students can take classes, and who knows what that could result in from a revenue and profitability perspective. But that's a great example where we were able to really fine-tune usage of the room.
Support has been amazing. It's great to work with a vendor who realizes what issues you have, and then they'll follow it all the way through. They don't stop until it's resolved. People like Chanel, Bree, and Josh, they're just fantastic to work with. Whenever Marie and I have an issue with LabStats or we have a question, that's what we do. We just call them. We don't have to stumble through the questions or go online and find the answers ourselves. We just call them up, and they're really good about giving us all the information right away.
We want to put data in the hands of people, so otherwise known as data democratization. Let chairs of departments or business unit managers see the data for themselves and begin to kind of do their own analysis. But overall, LabStats as a cloud-based product is lightweight and easy to maintain. Price point wise, it's very economical, and for the value it's been able to provide us, it's been a really good tool. We strongly recommend it.
So you'll notice when they went through here, they began manual tracking of what's going on. They had head counts every hour. Anyone familiar with that? How accurate is that? Right? You're not catching everything if you're counting once an hour. Not only that, but you're not knowing exactly what students are using. They were taking one employee weeks at a time off of other more important projects just to crunch numbers. Is that an efficient use of the university's resources? Not when you've got tools that can do it for you. They were able to automate and streamline and get their accurate data immediately. They didn't have to wait forever to get that. They were able to get it immediately so that they can make smart decisions. So that they're able to make good decisions with that data. Not only that, but they found that they had 4 computer labs that weren't being used, averaging 25 machines per lab. He mentioned one lab was saving them $25,000 every 4 years, and they averaged about 25 machines in each one. So, I mean, do the math. If only one lab's doing that, and let's say the others didn't have quite as expensive hardware, let's say they saved $20,000 every 4 years in those ones. How significant savings is that from a hardware refresh? From a software license standpoint? From a, what do we got to do to get these deployed? Earlier today, Tyler was talking to one of the schools here, and they indicated that they'll deploy their software, and then it takes them anywhere from 1 to 3 hours to verify that that software was loaded on there properly. So if you can do that reduced by 4 labs, think of the time savings that they're going to be able to save by making sure they are right-sized. Not only that, but they were able to use what they termed this is a hard word for me, democratization. Say that 10 times real fast. But giving department heads the ability to make decisions for what they need, rather than them coming to IT or someone else to make that decision for them, right? So they're able to make much more accurate decisions and make sure that their data-enabled institution turns into a student-centered institution to be able to help their students with their success. And that's what we're here to do. So one things we can do at LabStats, and we'd love to talk to you more at our booth. We can set up trials, we can set up lots of things to help you better understand your individual situations and how we can help you with that. But we can certainly help you with that student success. We can help you make sure you have the right resources available for those students and help them find those resources. We can help you see the needs of all students and be proactive. We can help make sure that we're helping you look 5 years down the road for some of these critical needs that may come back to bite us if we're not prepared for them. And then finally, when you look at the good data that you have, what are you going to gain? Worst case scenario, you're exactly where you're at right now. Best case scenario, you're making much better decisions. So with that, we are going to do a drawing. Does everyone have cards by chance? If not, we came prepared. We've got some cards you can write your names on, so it's all fair. So if you have cards, hand them over to Tyler. But we are going to do a drawing today. You ready for this? This is big. 20 casino bucks. NW Met bucks. That if you're really good at blackjack, you could possibly turn this into 100 or more. I'm not that good at it, so don't rely on my expertise when it comes to that. They'll teach. Awesome. I love it. So while we're doing this, what questions do you have? So we support Mac and Windows. We did have a Chrome support, but we've gotten away from that. We can do some VDI support. So we do have some customers that are doing Chrome boxes that we've been able to find a workaround utilizing VDI. Yes, we do. The short answer is yes, we do support VMware. The long answer is it depends on exactly how you're set up. Whenever it comes to VDI, one of the things that we do ask is that you do run a trial on your VDI to make sure it works. Because the last thing we want is have someone with a VDI setup that we were completely unaware of, and now you've got something that's not working the way you need. There's so many setups with VDI that, I can tell you Citrix, VMware, the short answer is yes, we do support them. The long answer is when it comes to VDI, we will get our support team involved to make sure that things are set up and make sure a trial is successful. And whenever the word successful to me is this a good fit or not? I'm not the guy that wants to push this on everybody regardless, because quite frankly, if it's not a fit for you, you're going to hate me. Actually, you'll hate Tyler because he's going to be the one selling it. So, have we got everybody in here? All right. So this is the way we're going to do it. I don't have a hat to draw out of. Oh, can we borrow your hat? There you go. There you go. So we're going to put these in here, mix them up, and so you can prove that I don't know anyone in here, right? Other than Beth and Tyler. Okay, I haven't met anyone at the tables. I haven't met anyone out drinking because I don't drink. So we're going to go blindly in here. They all feel the same. No one creased it. Joe Horn. Here we go. Thank you. Yeah. All right. Any other questions before we release to lunch? Okay. Please stop by our booth. We do have some T-shirts that we brought. They do show some of our fun side. At LabStats, we do like to have a lot of fun. We're a small company, and it's an amazing company to work for. It's probably the best company I've ever worked for because we really care about the employees, but we also like to have fun with our customers. So Beth does have some T-shirts that she'll give out to every one of you. If it's not the right size, come to our booth.